E-bikes used to be awkward, clunky monstrosities with oversized down tubes and loud whirling motors that really detracted from the experience. But those days, thankfully, are well behind us. So times have certainly been a-changing in the world of e-bike design, and as my case in point, I present to you Giant's brand new Trance X Advanced E Elite 1. So as e-bike design has been refined over the years, you've ended up with bikes in two distinct camps. On the one side, you've got the full powered machines with big heavy motors and large 700 plus watt hour batteries that have a very different ride feel to a traditional mountain bike. And then on the other side, you have the newer age light e-bikes that are packaged with smaller, less powerful motors that are a bit lighter and batteries in the 300 to 400 watt hour range. And these have a ride feel that is quite a bit more similar to a traditional mountain bike. Think here of the Levo SL, the Orbea Rise, Fuel EXE and such bikes. Now Giant has stepped in with the Trance X Advanced E Elite, a bike that blurs the lines between these two camps, pairing a lightweight build with a very powerful motor, a combination that is electrifying to ride. Now the bike comes with 140 mils of rear travel given via Giant's Maestro linkage and 160 mils up front, so you could say it's designed to really make the most of the trails. Let's take a look at the design of the Trance X Advanced E Elite 1. Now the frame is made from carbon fiber and that houses the 400 watt hour energy pack battery and the Sync Drive Pro 2 motor that delivers 85 Newton meters of torque. It rolls on Giant's TRX2 carbon wheels. That's a 29-inch up front and a 27.5 at the back to offer a bit more maneuverability, mostly through the shortening of the chainstays that come down almost 30 mils from its 29-inch brother, the Trance X Advanced E. The cables are routed internally through the headset for a nice clean look, and on the Elite 1 model you've got Fox's live valve suspension system electronically controlling your 140 mils of rear and 160 mils of front suspension. I've ridden the system on two e-bikes now and I can say that it really makes a notable difference, particularly on an e-bike platform. E-bikes do have a tendency to feel quite slow and unresponsive to inputs because of their weight, but the way that the live valve system manages the dampening really is phenomenal and just makes the bike feel a little lighter on its feet. It doesn't wallow so much in the travel and is generally more responsive to inputs, making it feel a little bit more like a traditional mountain bike. Now the nice thing on this bike is that the live valve system is plugged into the energy pack battery, so you just need to charge up your e-bike. You don't need to charge the live valve system separately. The Trance X Advanced E Elite's geometry is quite balanced. It doesn't lean to any particular extreme. It's very comfortable, I found, from the get-go. On the cockpit side of things, you've got the very clean looking Giant Contact Trail SLR integrated handlebar set, which obviously does reduce a bit of your adjustability from the get-go, but I found the setup to be quite neutral and very easy to get along with. Other notable spec items on this Elite 1 model are the SRAM Code R brakes with a 220mm rotor up front and a 200mm at the rear. Really good to see Giant taking the stopping power seriously on this e-bike. Then you've got SRAM's GX Eagle Axis 10 to 52 tooth drivetrain, offering nice crisp electronic shifting, and that's rounded off with a Praxis carbon crank. You've got Trance X's rad dropper post that offers 30mm of adjustability for each drop size, with a maximum drop of 140mm in the small, 170 in the medium, and 200mm of drop for the large and extra large frames. The stock tires is Maxxis's DHF up front in a 2.5 and the Dissector in the rear at 2.4, and both of those are in the EXO casing. Let's dig into the core of this bike, the power system. As mentioned, we've got that Sync Drive Pro 2 motor, 85 Newton meters, giving you the beans, and that's paired with a 400 watt hour energy pack battery. Now Giant's Sync Drive Pro motor, made in collaboration with Yamaha, is well regarded for its high power output, and that is certainly the case on the Trance X Advanced E Elite range. It's reasonably quiet, not distracting by any means, and is certainly powerful but not overbearing. It delivers that oomph with quite a good level of finesse. All that power is managed through the Ride Control Ergo 3 controller that can be mounted to either the left or right of your handlebars and is very discreet. And then the Ride Control Go is your display on the top tube, and that gives you 5 bars of battery reading. It's where the bike is powered on and also where you get to see your power modes. If you want to see more data from the bike, you're going to have to pair it up with an ANT Plus supported head unit or the Ride Control app. From the latter, you can control the bike's tuning of the motor in all the different power modes. That goes for its power support, the torque, and the torque that you get on launch. It's highly adjustable and allows you to tune the motor to be more like that of other light e-bikes if you do want to preserve your range a bit more or go on a longer outride. Otherwise, if you've just got an hour or an hour and a half after work to smash a few laps, put it in full power mode and hang on. We're going to run you through some of the key geometry numbers so that you can get a bit more context for the bike's handling when we get into that just now. The head tube angle ranges between 65.8 and 66.5 degrees depending on the flip chip position. The head tube length ranges from 95 up to 130 millimeters. The reach goes in intervals of 439 to 457, 4800 and 505 from small to large, and you can add about 7 or 8 millimeters depending on the flip chip position, the high mode giving you a little bit more reach. The chainstays are 447 millimeters across all sizes of the bike, and a seat tube length of 400, 425, 450 or 475 mils across those sizes. It's quite a straight seat tube as well, allowing you to run a nice long travel dropper post. And finally, a seat tube angle of 76 or 76.7 degrees depending on that flip chip position. Nice and neutral, nothing too wild, certainly a very comfortable seating position. You can find a link in the description of this video if you want a little bit more detail on the bike's geo. So where does this bike fit into Giant's range? Well, for now, the Elite 1 is going to be the only model of the specific Trance X Advanced E Elite range that's going to be available locally. It'll be priced at 199,990 Rand, and that's with live valve, carbon wheels, electronic shifting and all. It slots into the middle of the travel range in Giant's e-bike offerings. Of course, has the same full powered motor, but with a slightly smaller battery and a lighter weight. For those looking at a similarly capable model, but with a bit more range perhaps, you can either look at investing in a 200 watt-hour range extender, or its more big-boned brother, the Trance XE, and that packs a 750 watt-hour battery. As for the sizing of this bike, it's pretty middle of the road as far as modern mountain bikes go, which is a good thing. The large felt plenty roomy for me at 179 centimeters tall, could probably even go down to medium if I liked, a little bit more compact package. As for the setup, it is fairly involved if you want to really dig into all the customizations with all the electronic parts. But as for the suspension, the basic setup is done just like normal non-electric suspension. Set your sag, your rebound and your compression and you're good to go. If you want to be more involved, you can download the Live Valve app and choose between 5 different tunes, but the sport mode that comes straight out the box delivers a really good ride if you just want to set and forget. Let's talk about the handling of this bike. Now it actually rides as one might expect, somewhere between that 16-17 kilogram lightweight e-bike category and the 23 plus kg brutes. Those bigger bikes can tend to have a bit of a motorbike feeling to them, super heavy, very planted, offering loads of traction. This bike's not quite like that. It actually rides quite a bit like a traditional enduro bike in character. It's very confidence inspiring, but you're very much in control. You're not just a passenger on the bike. Giant's Maestro suspension linkage is known for offering up oodles of traction and being very active, and that's no different on this e-bike. The bike as a whole does ask for a bit more of a forward positive riding position, I've found. Not quite as planted as the bigger e-bikes in Giant's range, but I suppose in that case it does just ride a bit more like a traditional mountain bike. As for our highlights on this bike, first up is certainly that Sync Drive Pro 2 motor. It's an absolute brute and will muscle you up anything that you point it at, especially if you put it into that 400% support mode and use all 85 Newton meters of torque. All of that torque is also available in the Tour and Eco modes, so you will feel nice and supported even if you're not in your highest power setting. Next is that Fox Live Valve suspension system. It really is great on the e-bike platform. Is it the make or break feature of this bike? I would say no. Does it add value to your experience though? Undoubtedly. As I said, I've ridden this system on a couple of different e-bike models and the experience carries through. It really makes the bike feel a bit more responsive and taut when riding, which I personally enjoy, and really contributes to the bike's overall agility, which is our final highlight on the Trance X Advanced E Elite. The balance between e-bike stability and trail bike responsiveness with this platform really is great. It's a bike that's just plain fun to ride. So would it still perform like this without the Live Valve? I would say yes, but probably to a slightly lesser degree. But given that, the bike's overall geometry, the power you're getting from the motor, and the weight of the bike are also big contributors to that overall experience, and that's going to carry through across the whole range. So who is the Trance X Advanced E Elite for? I'm picturing a rider who tries to squeeze in those hour to hour and a half laps after work quite often and really wants to make the most of their time out. And then on the weekends when they've got time for a longer ride, they're not so concerned about going full power the whole day. They're happy with just a decent hand of support to cover a bit more ground and preserve that range. This bike's also going to be a lot easier to handle for riders that are a bit less strong, particularly in regard to the heavier e-bikes. So that's worth considering as well. Well, we hope you've learned something useful about the Trance X Advanced E Elite 1 in this video. If you want to test ride one, we definitely would recommend that. Get in touch with your local Giant dealer and they'll be able to help you out. But that's it from us for now on this video. I'm probably going to squeeze in a couple more laps if I don't mind. Let's hit it. Time to familiar ourselves with the way these kids be shrelping into Kai, and we can say they know what they're doing.